Google just shocked film, video, and ad industries in one release. We thought this day wouldn't come for a few years, but it's here right now.
I'm using bkvenn going parallel shape. I'm using VO3 to generate.
We can talk.
No more silence.
Yes, we can talk.
And talk with accents.
Oh, I think that would be marvelous.
Yes.
I can talk.
Yes.
We can talk.
If you are a traditional purist filmmaker or an agency, please do not watch this video, just click away. But if you want to make incredible videos with world-class visuals previously unattainable to you, you need to know about this one.
When we get in there, I want no bull. You stay on my 6 at all times.
In this video, I'll show you mind-blowing examples from VO3. This model is amazing because it's not just generating video, it's also creating matching audio, dialogue, music, sound effects, you name it.
Cheddar, Swiss, Gouda, Brie.
Got perils, unknown dangers, better beware.
And when we begin to understand the fabric of the universe, we begin to understand our place within it.
I'll give you a perspective as someone who has made over 2,000 videos myself, and I've been in this industry for 17 years. I also run my AI video production tech company, so I have to stay on top of these cutting-edge models, and I'll tell you why this one is quite revolutionary. Let's look at them, shall we? Okay, so this is VO. Oh, 4K. 4K is quite a big deal. These models usually generate something in standard definition, maybe high definition, but they're always a little bit blurry. We're only now getting to a place where you could produce an ad and putting on a large TV without people noticing the difference. Okay, this is our first example. Let's watch it.
This ocean, it's a force, a wild, untamed might. And she commands your awe. With every breaking light.
Still looks a little bit 3D-like, but the lip sync is immaculate. You cannot really tell. This is something that we couldn't really do reliably in video before. You could have a video like me right now, sitting in a simple setting without moving much, and then looking right into the camera. But this one, the guy is looking away, the camera is moving, there is a sea in the background, this is uneven lighting. I don't even need to tell you that to get a shot like this, you need to be on an actual boat in the middle of the ocean, which is what you would want to do for a documentary. But if you're trying to make a stylized ad where this shot is going to be there for 3 to 5 seconds, this tool is perfect.
They left behind a ball today. It bounced higher than I can jump.
Oh, what manner of magic is that?
This example showcases the breadth of the abilities of this model. We have music, we have the sound effects, we have dialogue, and all of that is generated from a single prompt. You can see the prompt here. It's pretty complex, but it has action after action specified. And it's a story. It lasts for 6 seconds, but you can make a joke, you can tell a short story this way. The characters are coherent from frame to frame. It's incredible.
According to this old sea chart, the Lost Island isn't myth. We must prepare an expedition immediately.
You can see that there's a little bit of fuzziness going around his mouth. This is something that's still good for a really, really small preview of a video, but you cannot really use this in production.
Where were you on the night of the bubble bath?
Okay, this is mind-blowing. Do you know why? Because of the emotions. Usually, the text-to-voice generators give you very monotone voice with some pauses, some little bit of hints of emotions. Whereas this one is a proper stern voice, raised voice, and it matches what the character is doing. It's very coherent, very cohesive. It doesn't seem like the audio was produced separate to video. It seems to be a little bit of magic of how they actually glue these things together. Not to mention the perfectly placed duck sounds.
The microfilm is in your ticket.
They're watching the north exit. Use the service tunnel.
Okay, lip sync, immaculate. The sounds of the station, everything works. It's really hard to tell that this is actually AI. However, the one thing missing is the pause between one character finishing speaking and the other one starting. And the emotions are not really there. It doesn't seem like they're talking to each other. This is pretty far away from what you would like to achieve on set.
I'm one with nature now.
Nature would prefer some personal space.
Yeah, the animation industry is dead. I'm sorry guys, but this is too good. You can do animations any style, and because animation is way more forgiving when it comes to lip syncing and the realism of the scene, this is changing that whole industry. Okay, in this one, we don't really care about the sound, but look at all the small details that add to the visual realism. Look at the drops of the water on the lens. Look at the physics of the water. This is not something that's just on par. This was unachievable with traditional methods. This would have taken a team of visual effects artists months to accomplish that shot. And if you wanted to shoot that in real life, well, you need insurance, a truck, perfect day. Incredible, incredible. Ad industry, cooked. Sound effects, pretty easy to match, but look at the physics. I wouldn't be able to tell you that this is an AI-generated shot. Restaurants, food companies, you just save yourself 50 to 100K a year just in shooting costs. Wow, this is something that was completely unimaginable even 6 months ago, and I cannot really think of a model that could do it even yesterday. You have a feather that's consistent and coherent across the whole video, and then you have physics that take it in the air and then land in this spider's web, which also gets affected by the wind and by the feather. These shots were impossible. And if you wanted to shoot something in real life, like, good luck. This is hours and hours of work, and there's no way that you could do this reliably. So the only way to accomplish that would be through visual effects. And again, this shot, that is days and days of work. And now it's available in minutes. Another absolutely incredible example of the physics. I think that this model has to have some underlying world model. There's no way that the video model could just infer that from watching millions of frames of other videos. There has to be some physics model that generates the underlying structure of the scene. And again, if you didn't film that perfectly in real life, you would have to do this again and again and again with a fresh paper boat every time. Otherwise, it would be soggy after every shot.
Whoa, this is insane.
Oh my god, it's all about that small breath at the end. He said, "This is insane."
This is insane.
This is something that was unavailable. No text, audio, video model could even think about that. That's natural human emotion that's interleaved in those small moments. You know, the perfect acting performance is sold to you through the moments in between the lines. The small look, the tiny breath, when somebody cannot gather their words. It's happening. It's happening in video right now.
Say it again, slower this time.
Okay, look at the deformations of the skin. It's perfect. I don't know exactly why we have that drop of water on her mouth. It's a little bit weird, but it does show you that it just stays there. It stays there, it keeps the reflections, it's reacting to the light around it.
The future's loud, child, but wisdom speaks in a whisper.
There's still a little bit of that uncanny valley happening. If you look at his skin, it's a little bit too smooth for his age, but he does have wrinkles and the focus is actually adjusting properly. You can see every single strand of hair in his beard and it stays where it's supposed to stay. I honestly don't know how this is even possible. And the lip sync. The lip sync is incredible.
If this is the best they've got, I'll finish my drink before I reply.
Again, look at the coherence. Look at the smoke. It's always coming from the tip of his cigar. It stays in that same spot where it's supposed to. It reacts to being moved. If you look at that wine glass that gets a little bit wobbly, the wine inside keeps steadying itself. It doesn't just drop off. The coherence for every single pixel is perfect. These shots are usable for actual commercial production.
If you're not ready to be honest, then stop pretending this matters.
Okay, so the emotions are there. What she's saying makes sense, but their eye lines are again not connected, right? They don't seem to be looking into each other's eyes. She seems to be looking behind him a little bit. So we're still getting that uncanny valley that, yeah, it's still AI.
If the river fights back, we just paddle harder.
This is overall a really good scene, but when he speaks, if you actually put it full screen on your large 50 to 65 inch TV, you will see that the lip sync is completely not there. So the fog and the movement helps to mask it, but no, this is not a usable shot at all.
We can talk.
No more silence.
Yes, we can talk.
We can talk.
We can talk.
We can talk with accents.
Oh, I think that would be marvelous.
Yes, it is very fun. But
yes, it is very good.
It's very fun.
I can talk.
Yes.
We can talk.
Yes.
Yeah.
We can talk.
We can talk.
We can talk.
Yes.
We can talk.
No.
Yes.
We can talk as cartoons.
This is amazing.
Imagine all the narrative possibilities.
We can sing talk.
Let's talk.
So, what are we going to talk about now? What are we going to talk about now that we can talk?
I have no idea. What do you want to talk about?
Now that I can talk.
No.
Yeah.
I don't know if I have something to say.
This reminds me of a couple of ads that you can see on TV where you have multiple people in different scenarios completing each other's sentences or saying the same thing. Yeah, you can do it right now. If the shots are really, really short, you cannot really notice the shortcomings. If you pause it and actually enlarge the video, yeah, not every lip sync scene is perfect, but just the sheer amount of scenes that you can produce in a short amount of time that are a variation of the same sentence or continuing on the same script, shooting a video like this, just judging by the locations, the costumes, the crew necessary, this would have been at least a $250K production. This guy did it in 2 hours playing with this tool. I cannot stress enough, 250,000 versus 2 hours and maybe $100 in credits. The filmmaking is going this way, and I'm sorry if you are a filmmaker and this offends you, but as a filmmaker, you are not the one signing the checks. And if you are, you can continue making your art. But if you think about the executives, the people signing off on spending $500,000 on an ad, and suddenly somebody tells you that we can make the same ad for 1% of the cost. And not only that, but we can keep iterating on that. We can keep improving it after we shot it. There's never a point where somebody's going to say, oh, sorry, we didn't capture that on a day, so this is what we're stuck with. No, you can change it at any point. You can add a new scene and you can run these ads, see how they perform, and then you can generate new versions all the time. You can keep iterating, keep improving, and you're still staying in under $1,000 budget. This is a real game changer for anybody making short videos, and trust me, soon you'll see long form produced with these tools.
How much wood would a woodchuck chuck if a woodchuck could chuck wood?
How much wood would a woodchuck chuck if a woodchuck could chuck wood?
How much wood would a woodchuck chuck if a woodchuck could chuck wood?
How much wood would a woodchuck chuck if a woodchuck could chuck wood? Whoa!
How much wood would a woodchuck chuck if a woodchuck could chuck wood?
How much wood would a woodchuck chuck if a woodchuck could chuck wood?
How much wood would a woodchuck chuck?
Mind-blowing. Again, think about the creative iterations. You can explore any scenario you want, and all of this is basically production ready. These are assets that can go out there in the world. Yes, on social, yes, on smaller screens, but that's where most of the content is being consumed right now. Is this going to replace IMAX? No, but can you make an ad that's going to rival high quality cinematic ads on 99% of other platforms? Yes. Look at the coherence between frames. There are no weird faces, there are no weird glitches, transformations. Everybody's limbs look like they're supposed to look like. When people are hugging in the last scene, it's very natural. When they speak, what they say and their facial expressions are matching the tone of voice. Having that breadth of dialogue capability, going from whisper to shouting to being angry and then singing. It's something that only human could have done before. Whereas now, you can do it with an AI. That's just incredible. It's scary, I know, but if you really think about the possibilities, everybody can be a filmmaker right now. Everybody can tell their stories. And if you're a business, you don't have to spend $1 million on an ad anymore. You don't even have to spend 100K. But the extremely important thing to remember here is that this is not replacing the storytelling part. The visuals, great. The audio works. But if the content behind it, if the message, if the story is weak, it's going to be a weak video. You cannot fix that. You still need the human vision, the human in the loop who's going to drive the content, who's going to direct it from the starting point to the finish line.
Welcome to a non-existent car show. Let's see some opinions.
I mean, man, the acceleration is crazy. You look far, step on the pedal, and you are there.
I feel safe with him in an SUV, and it seems to be like the right type of car for him.
I think the range is only going to get better. Sorry.
We don't want to drive gas cars anymore.
Yeah, no more gas cars.
You can see I'm kind of a misfit here, but don't tell anyone. I've just bought an electric car.
I think it's really great for families and for little babies.
That is insane. I cannot tell that this is AI. You really need to look in the background at the text and you see that the text doesn't really make sense. But a lot of these people, they have those micro emotion. Did you see the guy put down his cup and just laugh?
Range is only going to get better. Sorry.
Did you see when this older gentleman went, that's natural? YouTube is going to be flooded by these fake trade shows and fake videos talking about the products, so be vigilant because there's going to be a lot of scams out there. But man, is this exciting. This example is not going to save you a lot of money or anything. This is probably just going to be used for fake videos. But these people sound and act real. It's not only about just looking real anymore. It's the whole package. There's no comparable model. No model before could have done this. There was no way to accomplish 90% of the things that we're talking about here literally before yesterday.
Run AI with an API. Use Replicate.
Very cool. Reminds me of those older Nike ads. And this probably took a couple of minutes to produce. Of course, you need to come up with the idea. You need to actually know what you're trying to do. But beforehand, you would have a team of people sit in a room and ideate, okay, we're going to have a guy run and then he's going to stop and talk to the camera. So now you would spend $5K on pre-production on all of these people coming up with this strategy, and then you would have a production team go out on a perfect day to shoot this, and then you would have multiple takes and finally choose the one that you like. You would be $20K in working with an agency to actually get something like this done. Whereas now, you can just think of ideas and see them in a couple of minutes. If you like one of them, just deploy as an ad. It's as simple as that. Time frame from having an idea to actually seeing it deployed on social media has probably shrunk by a factor of 100.
Now we are going to boil water and cook the pasta. Try not to burn this, okay? This is raw. Do you hear me? Raw, raw.
Up next, we are going to cut these vegetables.
I am an idiot sandwich.
Incredible. The physics. Did you see the boiling water in the beginning with the first cook? And then the camera transition to the guy. There are no weird glitches. The physics are perfect. The dialogue is matching. These are basically full ads that can be deployed. This tool is absolutely mind-blowing. Not to mention the sound design, which is often overlooked. Not only is the dialogue matching, but if you look at the guy who's like poking the other cook, you have a proper sound of that happening. This would have taken you longer in the edit to find the matching sound and to actually put it on the timeline than it is to generate the full video in VO3.
Do you think we are in VO3?
If you cannot tell, does it matter?
Again, I don't even know what to say. The smoke is perfect. The camera movement, there's nothing to say. There are no notes. You cannot really tell that this is AI generated. I'm actually thinking, like, is it some kind of a social experiment where people are posting real videos and saying it's VO3? Am I being tricked? Because if I'm not, then this destroys the whole need for a film crew. To sum up, as I mentioned, it doesn't mean anything without proper idea, storytelling. You need to have a structure. You need to have a good hook. You need to have something emotional or logical that actually is going to drive the content. But if you have a vision, if you are creative, this tool just gives you everything you need. You don't need a camera, you don't need the actors, you don't need anything else. You just need a couple of $100 for the video generations. And some people are going to say, oh, it's so expensive. Let's do a quick math. Not all of the shots are going to be usable. So let's assume the worst case scenario, you're very particular about the shot and you only get 1 out of the 100 generations right. Oh my God, that's so expensive! Is it? For $250, you wouldn't be able to get a junior videographer to show up on set. Not to mention rent the locations, get the actors, get the whole film crew, the lighting, the camera gear, the planning, the catering, smoking inside. To execute a scene like this, it would cost you probably around $10K, but on a day you would capture many scenes. So let's say $2K per scene, right? And what you shoot is what you're stuck with. This is a 8 to 10 times reduction in the pricing, and you have hundreds of shots to choose from. And guess what? If the next day you have an idea to add a prop, or, oh no, she should be sitting in a red dress, you can just get a new shot and it's going to cost you $200. Not $10,000 to reshoot the whole ad again. In my future videos, I'm going to compare this model to VO2, to Kling 1.6, 2.0, and do like a big comparison of everything that's available right now. My platform, need2film.com, that I built for myself, but now I'm using it for clients, helps me to select all of the models at the same time and in one click compare them. I'm going to show you that in the next video.